So, Tuesday, it happened.
It has happened.
Yeah.
It was coming and it has arrived.
I think we all knew that it was going to be the retirement announcement.
I think it's half of the announcement we were expecting. I think a lot of people, particularly on Twitter has been going wild all morning about IndyCar and Alonso going to IndyCar. So I think it's really only half of what we were expecting.
I think there may still be more to come because it was titled, Fernando will not race in Formula 1 in 2019. Now, we already know that he's going to be racing in some WEC races.
Yeah, it very pointedly hasn't mentioned retiring.
Yeah.
And there's no mention of IndyCar or the Indy 500 or anything like that in the statement.
Yeah. All he's basically saying is he won't be in F1.
Yes.
I mean, it says won't race in F1 in 2019, but it's more or less... He put the video out as well, and
very dramatic video.
It was. Some people called it tear-jerking on Twitter.
I'm not sure I'd go that far personally, but yeah.
Depends if they're in tears. There must be some kind of jerk.
Yes.
So I think there's still more to come on this.
I think so too. I think IndyCar themselves have been tweeting about it. Indianapolis Motor Speedway have tweeted about it. There's a real campaign from the other side of the Atlantic by the feels of it. Alonso himself, in his quotes, let me just scroll down and find this. Yes,
it's in there somewhere.
Alonso has said, "I made this decision some months ago, and it was a firm one. Nevertheless, I would sincerely thank Chase Carey and Liberty Media for the efforts made to change my mind." Which kind of sounds like he's been weighing up a few things, if he's been open to talking. That's not someone who's just ready to go and get out his deck chair, is it?
He takes it with him everywhere he goes.
Presumably so. Presumably he has a person for those kind of things.
And one thing I did see in the retirement video, there was a new Kimoa cap.
Of course.
I think he's got a retirement hat.
Yes. Kimoa did tweet a couple of hours beforehand when everyone was waiting for the news and we'd all been joking about, it's going to be a new hat. Kimoa did tweet about their caps. I think it might have been a bit of a troll.
Possibly. So what do we reckon? IndyCar announcement sometime between now and the end of the Formula 1 season, probably that he's going to just do the Indy 500.
Possibly.
Or selected road races and the Indy 500.
You reckon road races, would it not be better to do the ovals and actually get used to doing ovals before you do Indy?
Well, he did one a couple of years ago and he wasn't all that bad at it.
But if he does more than one, he will be very good
at
it.
Selected races.
I would say if he's going to do a bit of IndyCar, it would be the ovals, but who knows?
We shall have to see. Right, on with the rest of the podcast.
Yes.
In fact, on with the whole podcast.
Yes.
Hi and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with...
Sean.
Chris. Lee.
Anyone got anything to talk about?
Yeah, there's a little bit to talk about. It's a summer break.
Thought there was going to be.
Yeah, it's a summer break.
Yeah, that's true. We're making up more than we thought we were going to be able to.
At 5 p.m, I thought we were going to be here for 10 minutes. Now we're probably going to be at least half an hour.
I would say, well, it depends how long tonight's total shunt is.
Exactly.
We'll just keep speculating until the grid sorts itself out, I think.
What do you think we've been doing since February?
February?
That's when we started speculating what next year's grid was going to look like after
What
February
year?
2015.
Yeah.
Oh, that show, the show that we don't talk about.
Yes. Yeah, we don't talk about that show. Move on.
No, move on swiftly, like we did from that show.
Yeah, well, that never went out.
Yeah, just don't do your Mr. Chumley Warner impression again.
Neither did episode 2.
No.
Episode 3, I think, was actually
Episode
the first.
3 was episode 1.
Was this an unaired pilot?
There was 2.
There were 2
Yeah.
on air pilot. Lap by lap was not the way to go.
No. The mists of history. Right, I can't see what you've written because I've got a microphone stand in the way.
And also you're on drugs.
I am not on many
drugs.
I'm just taking a few antibiotics.
Prescription drugs.
So was Michael Jackson.
Yeah. He wanted the milk, didn't he? And that killed him. It wasn't milk, though, was it? It was some sort of
It wasn't
painkiller.
milk, and it killed his career, not him.
Don't say it. Right, 2019 grid. Apparently not a 2019 grid because there are rumours flying around that driver changes will be made as soon as, 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, in Belgium, which, as Paul just said, is 2 weeks away. Now, I must stress these are unsubstantiated at time of recording. However, if you have already heard that moves have been made.
They are
on a Tuesday.
absolute fact.
Yes.
Actually, no, I'll tell you what. If you're listening to this on Tuesday and you've heard that moves have been made, it's because me and Sean have already recorded an extra section that we've dropped in.
Ta-da!
We'll get onto that later.
Oh yeah,
I'm
we've
sure.
got another one of we've got another one of those to come as well. So that Alonso thing then.
Well, no, that starts it. Alonso, is he going to IndyCar?
I believe yes. My
As for
money
the
is
full
on
season?
Yeah, I think so.
To fill anyone in that's not seen it on Twitter or in countless other outlets,
And screenshotted and shared.
He put a tweet out on Saturday
Something like that.
or Sunday, saying 14-08, which is Tuesday, tomorrow as we're recording,
Oh, Sean pointed out before. Also, his two race
His
numbers.
2 race numbers.
and a GIF of a sort of movie countdown from 4 to 1.
Yeah.
Obviously signifying that he's going to make an announcement tomorrow.
We put a poll up on the... Well, Paul put a poll up.
We put a poll up on our Twitter page.
A slightly sarcastic poll, to be fair. It's not really factually
It's an
binding.
opinion poll.
Yeah, and opinions were given. We gave people 3 choices. Is he leaving F1? Is he staying in F1? Or the most popular answer, with I think it was 48% of the 219 people that voted, he's launching a new Kimoa hat.
I mean, it's the 6 hours of Silverstone this weekend, so there's definitely going to be a new Kimoa hat in the coming days.
Yes.
You can guarantee that's happening.
He had a special Le Mans hat.
Is it not just going to be the Silverstone Kimoa hat that you had with him at Silverstone
No,
in
because
Formula
that will
1?
have number 14 on, and this one will have to have number 8 on.
And Toyota.
Yes, and cost a quantity of money different to the quantity of money you
right.
paid for the previous one.
And the blue...
So that's it. It is the new hat then. 14 to 8.
Yes.
And it's the same hat design. It's just the numbers changing.
Anyway, the whole IndyCar rumour started because IndyCar's official Twitter account, was it?
Yes, it was the actual proper IndyCar series.
Are we still on for lunchtime tomorrow at Allo Official?
For lunch tomorrow.
For lunch tomorrow,
For
was it?
lunch tomorrow.
Oh, is it for lunch rather than lunchtime?
Not lunchtime.
This could be very inconvenient for us because lunch in America is kind of post-podcast publishing time for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if this is late, we're very sorry, but you got the news first. And if you're listening to it later than Tuesday, it doesn't matter anyway, really.
So there's a Motorsport Hungary, who I can't find out exactly who that is, who started all these rumours on Twitter.
If only we were here with devices that could access the internet right in front of us right now.
I've tried, and I can't find Motorsport Hungary. I don't know where Motorsport Hungary
There's some kind
is.
of web
don't-
publication, but they're not on the internet.
Well, exactly. I don't know if they're just a Twitter account. I don't know if they're a Hungarian offshoot of motorsport.com. I don't want to say they are, just in case they're not. But the...
And does Jean Todt get them printed out every day and given the highlights given to him by his secretary?
Yeah, probably not. But the Alonso to Indy thing sparks off a whole... if he goes before the Belgian Grand Prix, as is rumoured, then that sparks off a whole lot of driver moves, which now makes sense in this Hungarian report, which are that Esteban Ocon will leave Force India and join McLaren for the rest of the season. Which might seem a bit strange, but when you consider that Lance Stroll is likely to go to Force India and take Ocon's seat, and Robert Kubica could either go to Force India with Lance Stroll or get the seat at Williams. Now, I don't quite know what Lawrence Stroll or Lance Stroll's involvement with Robert Kubica is. Do they have investment in Robert Kubica? Does Kubica have investment with them? Are they just really good friends in the Williams garage?
Maybe
and
that's
then
it. They've just really got on in there 6
Yeah.
months or so working together.
Maybe Kubica is imparting advice on Lance Stroll, in his season at Williams.
Maybe it's nothing to do with that. It's just the fact that if Stroll's off, Williams have got no one else putting the car apart from Kubica.
But it could be that Kubica's off to Force India with Stroll.
So what about Perez?
Oop, just hit Paul's microphone stand. I
must-
don't know.
I must
I'm
say
shrugging. I have no idea.
There was an interesting article up today, I think it was on Autosport, where Perez was quoted in saying that he has multiple options.
Yeah, Sean
Yes.
did an
I
article.
It
didn't-
wasn't on
I
Autosport,
it
it
was
was on
not.
3legs4wheels.com.
It
Okay,
originated
someone
in
else reported it as well.
Finland. It originated in Finland. He appears to have given some interview to the Finnish media. And yeah, he's basically saying, yeah, I got loads of options. So he either hasn't and is trying to drum some up,
Yeah.
or
he's trying to
he
get more
has.
money out of
Yeah.
Force India.
But that is the that's usually the line when somebody's probably on a move, isn't it?
Yeah, they're trying to sort of drum up a bit of hype about themselves.
I mean, don't forget a
Who's
lot.
Perez's hype man? Perez is Perez. Is
A lot of teams would be happy to take Perez because of the amount of sponsorship he brings with him. I mean,
Also, he's good.
yeah, he's by no stretch of the imagination your average pay driver. He's a good driver that's got great backing from a lot of Mexican companies that want their names on a car associated with him because, well, he's the only driver to get on the podium that isn't in the big three teams this
Yes.
season.
No, Ron, would you reckon he could go back to McLaren?
Could go back to McLaren. Could be Perez instead of Ocon. But I was thinking maybe if Kubica, and this is the thing, there's so many ifs and buts in this, but if Kubica does go with Team Stroll and the Canadian F1 team, does that then open up for Perez to go to Williams and take his sponsorship money with him to Williams? Because they're not going Stroll F1 are not going to need that then, are they? You know, whatever they're going to be called. They're not going to need Perez's sponsorship money. I mean, might be nice.
We can't call them Force Canada because Canadians don't follow. Gently Persuasion Canada.
Yeah, gentle please Canada.
Yeah.
That sounds wrong.
Sounds
But
like
the-
a South Park joke,
Yeah,
isn't it?
It does a bit, yeah. But the,
Unless they make a complete boot turn.
oh dear, it was going to happen, wasn't it, at one point?
Oh, yeah.
But if Perez goes to Williams, that could solve.
Oh, hang on, I've got it. Team Horton.
Oh dear. Oh dear. But yeah, if Perez goes to Williams, that could solve Williams' problems.
You're waiting for me to say something else now,
Yeah, I
aren't you?
am, yeah. Because if Perez could solve Williams' problems by the fact that Martini are leaving at the end of this season, and if Stroll has taken his money with him as well, because the whole not being involved in the team anymore thing, then maybe Perez's money might just be enough to keep them afloat. It's similar to Stroll's money, isn't it,
I
Perez's?
think so. What's he got? Telmex. I think there's Jose. What's his for Jose
Banamex as well.
Cuervo.
Jose Cuervo.
That's the one.
And the Mexican Tourist Board.
Yes.
Yeah. And they, way back when he was a Sauber driver, there was, the Visit Mexico was plastered all over the car, wasn't it? Might not be beyond the realms of possibility that you see a Williams in that guy's next season, but on quite a plain-looking car. If Williams makes the
Although
grid.
seeing as Williams are losing the title sponsorship, they take Perez on, and all of a sudden, instead of being Martini Williams as this season, we're looking at Telcel Williams.
Yeah, it could be Telcel.
Perez brings the lead sponsorship.
I wonder if Martini are going to sponsor anybody else.
They're withdrawing their sponsorship from Williams. I don't know if they're going to maybe be a title sponsor of somebody else. It'd be a bit weird. It'd be a bit confusing if they suddenly became Martini Alfa Romeo Sauber.
Yeah, probably.
Martini. That becomes Mars. Martini
does.
Alfa Romeo. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Elon Musk is then interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many different ways all this could pan
It's
out.
permutations,
Yeah.
isn't it? I'm just repeating basically what I've seen on Twitter. Have you managed to find anything from Motorsport Hungary?
No.
No, exactly. I couldn't either. This is the thing.
Just
It's
a couple
not-
of interesting things on Alonso.
There-
I
there-
found
there is a motorsport.com Hungarian site.
But
when
it's
I
probably
was
not from that.
when I was scrolling about on Twitter trying to make sort of head nor tail of what was going on with Alonso. Zach Brown has been following people to do with IndyCar a lot recently, including the
McLaren's,
CEO,
yeah.
yes, of the of
But
Verizon.
But is he out looking for new staff? He's already got Gilles de Ferran.
Well, United Autosport have said that they're not doing Daytona next year, so that lot he's
Because
not.
IMSA have changed the
They have
regulations.
changed it, and because they know they won't get sponsorship because they won't have Alonso and all that hype.
Yeah. Don't forget as well that McLaren have promised to enter IndyCar next
Yes.
year. Well, promised. They've said to the public they're going to enter. I don't think
Yeah.
they've actually put anything
Well,
formal forward.
Scott Dixon said that they'd spoken to him, which pretty much confirms it's happening if they're actually talking to people.
But did Dixon
then
sign with Chip Ganassi today?
He has re-signed with Chip Ganassi.
So he's staying. So does that mean Alonso's going?
Possibly. The fact that that's been announced today as well sounds to me a bit like they're trying to jump the gun and
Start the link.
make sure people actually notice their news before this Alonso news comes out and
Yeah,
steals everyone's attention.
McLaren might be entering IndyCar, but they're not going to have a New Zealand driver. Or that New Zealand driver.
Lee's got an
Brendan Hartley in the McLaren IndyCar partnering Alonso.
No.
No.
I've just lost the Cluedo game, haven't I?
Yes.
You have. Yeah. How many drugs are you on? Lee had an interesting point about the Indy 500. He thought maybe it might just be Alonso.
That's what I think
Just
it's going
count
to
the
be.
500.
I think it's going to be Alonso. I think it's going to be one of two things. Either it's Alonso going full-time in IndyCar, but in which case he won't race the rest of the season in Formula One,
Which
that
is what
sets
this
off
is.
all these fucking changes.
Yeah.
Or he's going to race next year in Formula One, and he's going to do Indy for McLaren again.
Yeah, because don't forget he signed up for WEC, and WEC and IndyCar do clash.
Yes,
And
as does
also-
F1 and IndyCar a lot.
Yeah.
I still
And
think,
also WEC and F1 clash in Australia next March.
I still think he'll
I'd forgotten about that.
if he can drop out of Formula One races to go and do an IndyCar race, or he can drop out of Formula One races to do WEC race, he can drop out of WEC races.
Oh yeah. I think he's gonna. I think what we'll see with Alonso, if he does announce that he's staying in Formula One and doing WEC and IndyCar, is that we'll see like a 90s style 3-driver rotation system at McLaren, much like that Benetton picture you've got up on the where we did have.
No, I think
up
you'll
there.
just see him not do those races, not do those WEC races.
I think he'll have.
No,
one-
I reckon McLaren will actually completely and utterly McLaren it up, and Alonso will be doing the full IndyCar season apart from the Indy 500. Do Monaco instead. It's like,
I'm
we
not
really got that one
entirely-
wrong.
I'm not entirely sure he'd be signing that contract.
that sounds a bit Professor Frink for my liking.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lando, Stoffel, and Nando as a 3-man driving team, I think could become a thing, and that's a very American influence, isn't it? If you look at sort of how Zach Brown and maybe Gilles de Ferran's influence as well on the team, that might be McLaren's way of thinking. Like, so, all right, okay, well we can stick Fernando in IndyCar. He can go. He's obviously going to go do his WEC things when he wants to, but we still got 1.5 decent Formula One drivers to put into our 2 cars at any given time. I mean, if Fernando's free that weekend, he's in the Formula One car. If he's not, then it's Lando and Stoffel.
I think Lando's off to Toro Rosso.
That's entirely possible.
Well, wasn't it? I think it was after we did the podcast last week. Zach Brown was saying that McLaren don't have a car at the moment to help a young driver. You know, they don't have a car to put a young driver into.
Yeah, I think it was something like the car would need to be better to put a young driver in. That doesn't mean next year's car won't be better.
I think it was actually to put 2 young drivers in.
And Alonso has remember Alonso defending Stoffel Van Dorn a few weeks ago.
Yes.
That story's been regurgitated again.
Yeah.
That seems to
Formula
keep
One.
coming
Now,
back,
according to
doesn't it?
Alonso, Stoffel is just about his best teammate ever on performance.
I think this is just like a burn on other teammates of Alonso.
Well, he's saying that Kimi was 6 or 7 tenths a second off of him when he were teammates in 2014. So Stoffel's 3 or 4 tenths off him. So that means in Alonso's eyes that makes Stoffel a better teammate than Kimi Räikkönen. And look at the way Kimi's driving at the moment. Kimi's driving at the moment in time. Kimi is driving better than Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah.
The last few races he has. It's just he's been Ferrari'd. He's been strategized.
He
out
might
of
also
it.
just be trying to sort of G Stoffel up a bit.
Maybe
because-
might be.
It's good for McLaren to have 2 drivers that are doing well, and Stoffel's not being quite as there.
Yeah.
You were looking at the screen funny.
No, I was looking at the microphone next to the screen that's got a red light on, wondering if it's recording us.
No, it's not.
Okay.
No, because I've not set it on the software.
Bah, there we go then.
I think you've got Lando going to Toro Rosso, and that statement from Zach Brown was the beginning of the reason why they've let their star driver of the future go.
I think it would be on loan. I don't think it would necessarily be a
Well,
permanent move.
No, because hasn't he got a
Lando's contract.
Lando's said in the last few weeks that he's open to driving for another team before he drives for McLaren.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a case of McLaren will sign him to be to drive the car a couple of years down the line, and he will go out not necessarily on loan.
I thought their option was up on him next year, very much like a Verstappen situation.
Yeah, but don't forget what they can offer him a contract for 2 years' time.
Yeah, but I thought they had to get him in for 2019.
Yeah, but
to
if they
keep
offer him a contract for 2 years' time and he takes that up, he's got 2 years to drive for whoever he wants and then go back to McLaren in 2 years.
Why would you do that, though? Why would you take that deal?
Because the car's been an absolute dog and the regulations are changing and it might actually work out.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to take that gamble. You'd want to, especially if you were going to Toro Rosso, you'd have an eye on Red Bull.
True.
Yeah, so that's what I think. They're not going to put Stoffel in the car next year. Stoffel's option, or their sort of contract with Stoffel, with
Lando
will be up next year. And this statement from Zach Brown is the beginning of the PR front to stop McLaren looking like they've just lost one of the best up-and-coming drivers to Toro Rosso, because they've signed what clearly seems to be a bit of an iffy contract with the designer.
Not that it's the release, isn't it, of James Key from Toro Rosso that's the issue. It's not that,
but they've still fucked it. If they signed him thinking he could leave the team and come straight to them,
They've
and he
announced
can't
it too soon, haven't they?
And they can't do it. They've still fucked what they were supposed to be doing.
Whatever they were still trying to negotiate with Toro Rosso are now going to be like, right, let's have some more money, more Lando, whatever it is they want.
And Red Bull, as we keep saying, need drivers. I tell you what, I reckon if Stoffel was to go to Toro Rosso, you might have a Verstappen situation there.
Stoffel or Lando?
Sorry, Lando. Yeah. If Lando was to go there, you might, and he does. Let's say he does as well as we hope he'll do in Formula One. Yeah, and therefore like batters Brendan Hartley, and Gasly doesn't do particularly well against Max Verstappen.
Yeah,
you might see another mid-season switch. That'll be what Lando's thinking. Yeah. He'll be thinking, if I play my cards right here, I can be in the big boy team before the end of next year.
Can you see Brandon Hartley staying at Toro Rosso though?
Yeah, because they haven't got any drivers to put in.
It's a lack of option, isn't it? They've had a lot of change there recently as well. New engine, 4 drivers. They need something.
Yeah, and they have been known to keep drivers they don't want because they haven't got anyone else to plug in. I'll give you an example, Mr. Kvyat.
Yeah, he'd have been out of there a lot sooner, wouldn't he, if there was someone else.
If there'd have been anyone else.
I mean, there was meant to be, wasn't there? Gasly was going to replace him a year earlier than he did and then got a bit gobby.
Didn't Gasly announce it?
That was it. Gasly announced it before it had been announced, and then Mateschitz threw his toys out the pram and sent him to Japan for a year.
Yeah.
That's basically what happened. Oh, child, go away and learn some manners.
Pretty much what happened.
Please, Mr. Mateschitz, I don't speak Japanese. That's the point, boy. Now go.
I've got to say, there are worse places in the world you can be sent to learn manners than Japan.
There is that.
Yeah, you go to Japan, they will teach you how to be polite because they are very, very good at it.
Yes, they will.
Two options. You either go to Japan or you go with somewhere that rhymes with Japan. Where? Afghanistan.
Sauber.
I'll take Afghanistan.
I think the biggest story out of all of these driver switches, if they happen, and as I say, it's all completely unsubstantiated, and they can't find the original source of these rumours apart from Motorsport Hungary, which doesn't exist.
And of course, by the time you listen to this, it's all kicked off, so it will have been, is have going to have happened already.
Yes.
Soon.
Kubica, no matter where he ends up, if he ends up in a race seat for even one race in the second half of this season...
There's your closing scene of the film.
Yeah, that's the closing scene of the film. As I spoke about, last winter break and the winter break before that. That's the one. That's. It doesn't matter what happens in that race. If he's on the grid, anywhere, doesn't matter. Even if he starts from the pit lane, that's it.
Yeah, but by the time the film rolls around, he won't be starting in the pit lane.
In 2007, 2008, he was putting in some pretty strong performances in that BMW Sauber. And
only Sauber because of financial shenanigans.
Yeah, and he actually still...
With the Ferrari contract in his back pocket.
Yeah, he's good. He's the only driver to... it wasn't quite that late on, I don't think. He didn't get the Ferrari contract until after his Renault days, did he? But he's still the only driver to ever won a race in a car with the Sauber name on it in Formula One.
Is there a quick enough turnaround for them to adjust the steering wheel for him, I wonder?
He's got his own.
They must
he's got
have
his own
one
setup
because he's tested.
for testing.
Yeah, for Williams.
Yeah, I see what you mean for the other team.
I wonder if Stroll could buy that, the rights to whatever it is they've done on that
they're still
steering
going to manufacture it and make it.
Force India, one of the teams who actually does their own steering
They
wheels,
do
aren't
3D printing, yeah. Their steering wheels
Force
are
India
3D.
do a lot of 3D printing on the steering wheel. I thought they did more or less the whole thing, but it's Scarps pointed out to us that it's just the middle section. But there's still a lot of work that they put in making their own wheel, and I think it's something we'll see. I mean, do
you think Kubica in a race seat?
Don't forget, they'll be able to. They've got the wheels there. They just have to. It's just like mapping a controller. on
Yeah.
again. You just say what button and what lever and what switch does what.
But in that case, why do you constantly hear drivers going to new teams and it taking them ages to get used to using the new steering wheels? and the
Like
new
when
buttons?
Hamilton went to Mercedes,
Yeah.
you struggle
Because
with that.
they're a different shape, the
No,
levers
but
are
it's
in
that-
different positions.
No, but it's the actual systems that make the car operator completely different car to car.
Because 99% of the time the software doesn't work properly because all the software developers have been rushed for a release date, got something out, and it's like, oh, hang on, if you do this combination of button presses, things will actually burst into flames.
Yeah.
F1 2015.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's a massive ask for him to even drive a Formula One car in a race again, let alone a Formula One car in a race that he's not driven yet.
Yeah, I mean, he's done race lengths at race pace
Yeah, no,
in testing, but I
to
mean,
do that,
racing.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
and then to do that,
It's 3
in-
days in a row as
Yeah.
well, isn't it? You got to do your practice,
Yeah.
quali, and the race.
But I'm not even just talking about that. I mean, but then to do all that in a car you haven't sat in yet.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, I think he'd adapt and learn a steering wheel and new positions and new software a damn sight quicker than Lance Stroll.
Well, there you go. There's an interesting
Probably.
benchmark for you as well, isn't it? Maybe it's right. Okay, well, we're not going to have Perez or Ocon up against you because they're a bit good. So what we'll do is we'll get Robert in from this because we've been getting on well with Robert at Williams. So
And
if
he's
we
a
get
bit
him
rusty.
in the car, you should look quite good against Robert.
I think
Imagine if
if- I
Kubica
think-
blew him away.
I think if there's any chance of him driving this year, it'll be in a Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But that's just, for me, that's the most interesting out of all of those potential switches that
If
could
not-
happen in the
the
next
rest
2
of them might
weeks.
get a drive again out of this. Otherwise,
He's not signed up at the moment, is he?
He's got some token role with Williams, I think, still, but
And
not.
he's still in the Mercedes.
Yep,
sort of
one this
umbrella,
week,
isn't
I
he?
think. Yeah, one in the DTM.
all of the trophies on his Twitter.
But he's integrated with the team. He knows them. He
And his performance in Hungary last year was, for somebody, like we were just
It was
saying,
all
there,
right. Yeah, it was
for
good.
somebody who's never sat in the car, went
Yeah.
from being 2.5 seconds a lap down on the fastest lap to what was it, like 8/10 by
Yeah.
the end of the session?
Yeah.
Like, that's respectable.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like that's actually really good.
I mean, obviously this season's it's a Williams, so if you're within a minute of the fastest lap, then that's an improvement.
I still think it'd be interesting to see what that car is with a decent driver in it. I
Yeah,
know you've got the
it's-
aero stall, but we don't know. We don't know what.
just
Well, that
wonder if
car's doing.
Perez might be there by the time Belgium rolls around.
by the time Belgium rolls around, they might have actually made enough new front wings to get through an entire weekend. But then they won't need to use as many because Stroll won't be there to stick it in a barrier. They'll just have,
Sorokin's still
they'll just
there,
have
though.
Sorokin's ones that he breaks to worry about.
Yeah, Perez would be ideal for Williams. We've been constantly saying that they need an experienced
driver
Formula One driver
to provide that feedback.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Perez might.
That's why I
just
wonder if it
the
might be all
guy.
part of the deal.
Well,
The whole thing might all be part of the deal. We'll give you Perez and all his sponsorship money, but we're taking Robert with us as well.
yeah.
Yeah, you've got to assume Perez will be looked after in that deal because ultimately what he
He
did.
saved
yeah.
the team. Yeah, of course. Yeah, he enabled Lance Stroll's father, Lawrence, to purchase the team with his consortium.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna treat him
He's
poorly.
clearly been in on it, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's the
Whatever's
thing,
going, he's been in the
someone-
boardroom.
Yeah.
Someone
Yeah,
else
yeah.
was about to file I think it was a winding up petition. So by putting them into administration first, that
Didn't it?
stopped
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
Yeah, and your reward for saving the team is to go drive for another
drive the
team.
shittest car on the grid.
No, but I mean, he will be financially looked after
Yeah.
and made sure that he is, probably first dibs if there's a free seat at that team next year. I would think, but
I still don't think going forward, especially if Perez or whoever goes to Williams finds out that George Russell's going there next year, and maybe Mercedes got a bit more of will have a bit more of a vested interest in Williams. I don't think it's a terrible place to go. It might be a terrible place for the rest of the year, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a terrible place next year.
yeah,
Perez got an all right car last year out of Mercedes having a vested interest in his teammate.
Yeah,
So
and
Williams could still become the Mercedes reserve
yeah, but
team.
if any team, because they've done it before, don't forget. They were pretty fucking lackluster before the hybrid era came in. When
Yeah.
when they ended up with a decent car, Williams can turn it round. You know, they've done this for a few years now, haven't they? You know, even back with.
So I think before the hybrid era, they were stuck with using Cosworths, and they were just. Ugh.
Renault engines they went to for a little while.
Yeah.
Williams Renault again for a bit.
But you had the peaks and troughs, didn't you, as well? Because you had like they were up there with Renault, down there with Mechachrome,
Yeah.
and they started to get themselves back up with BMW, didn't they? Then
Yeah.
BMW went, they were back down again, then they were
With
back
Toyota,
up. Yeah.
and then
So
because
yeah.
at one point I think it was when I think it was 2012. You had a Senna in a Williams Renault
Yeah.
when Bruno Senna was driving for them. So
If their performance trajectory was your heart pattern, you'd fucking feel it.
yeah, you would. That'd be cool. That'd be cause for a pacemaker, I think.
Or going to bed with the bedroom door shut so the cat doesn't come in every half hour and jump on you.
Yeah, I did see an article actually. I think it was a Formula One based article saying that the fear of the fear of losing has gone from Williams. There used to be a fear.
Yeah, it was David Coulthard that
Yeah,
said that.
yeah. It was the
They're now sort of
they're just sort of all right with losing,
Yeah.
which is not
not
good.
quite resigned to being a bit crap, but on the way to it.
I could see, I can see a bit of that in Red Bull. Now you mentioned it.
You should always have a fear of failure. McLaren have that fear of failure, and if they lose it, then they're stuck at the back then for a
Yeah.
few years until
The
they.
minute you're happy being seventh, there's an issue.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, nobody,
Are you listening, Nico Hulkenberg?
McLaren? Nobody at McLaren looks pleased, even when Alonso finished fifth with that Honda. Twice I think he did it, didn't he, at Hungary and the USA. No one at McLaren looked like, yes, brilliant, well done, Fernando. It was like good performance,
Yeah.
but we want to do better, which is what they should always have in a team that's, McLaren and Williams should be at the sharp end of things. But then ideally,
Drink. Sorry, on private drinking game. Every time somebody says McLaren or Williams should be at the front, it's
Well, look, I tell you what. Looking at
liquid.
looking at both teams, I don't think McLaren can make much of a big step forward next year. Unless something crazy happens with Renault.
It's not necessarily the Renault though. It's
Power unit.
it's
Well, that
the
moves on
car.
nicely.
It's the whole thing.
Yeah, but I can see.
that moves on nicely to the next item, actually.
But I could see Williams making a bigger step forward from where they are next year than McLaren making a bigger step forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the Williams is the worst car on the grid.
But
From the
McLaren
looks of
have
things.
made the biggest step forward this year.
Yeah, because they don't have the worst car on the grid anymore.
Yeah.
Ooh, I just thought of something then. Remember earlier in the year when it was rumoured that Alonso was in talks with Haas? We forgot about that.
No, I remember that vaguely.
I
yes.
kind of vaguely remember it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he would go to Haas. Too close to Ferrari.
If he goes to Haas, there'd be less grief about him doing Indy because they'd be all in favour
Oh
of
yeah,
it.
they've been to that.
Because don't forget, IndyCar is one area that there hasn't been a big red and white H going around the track.
Here's a question then. Let's just say, when you look at Ferrari, let's say Vettel doesn't win the championship this year. Say, too close to Ferrari. Do Ferrari start thinking, motherfucker, I wish we still had that Spaniard in the car? He'd have had one of these championships.
Yeah. Well, he's a little bit hot-headed, which is another news story we've got as well, isn't it? A bit later on. But the Renault thing you were talking about there, about unless something magic happens with Renault, Cyril Abiteboul has been talking.
Talking or mumbling?
Yeah, which was
Who
roughly
knows
translated.
what he really said?
Which is roughly translated as they know where they are with their car, which is always a good thing. A lot further down the road than Williams in that respect. They know where they are with their car. They know that the chassis needs improvements, and they know where it needs improvement. And also the power unit needs developing as well. But the pace at which they're developing, I've always said that Renault are probably the fastest developers going through a season. But Cyril Abiteboul's come out and said the pace at which they're developing is probably the same pace that Mercedes and Ferrari are developing. He said now there's been a big upturn in Ferrari's performance, and we're probably nearing like the top end performance of where we can go to with this formula. Which is why Mercedes have flattened out a little bit. It's why we've seen a bit of a surge from Ferrari getting closer to Mercedes. So we're not there yet, but we've still got a little bit of work to do. But they don't expect it to close the gap on Ferrari and Mercedes for the rest of this year.
So does this mean, and I really hope it does, that for the next 2 seasons before the new engine regs come in, we're actually going to see a development race with cars?
Yeah, possibly.
Yes, please.
But the
Because then that way, that will separate the teams out a lot more.
because Renault as well are.
Is that what we want?
No, we want them.
Well,
we want them close.
it'll stop new Ferrari development. Oh, right, all the Ferrari teams have moved up. New Mercedes engine development, the Mercedes teams move up. Whereas if the engines are at their absolute peak and
They're
they can't be
getting close.
developed any further, then we actually see the ability of the teams
The chassis.
to design the chassis and the aero and whatever to eke the most out of the thing that you put the engine in. And that will show who the best teams are.
The only thing I'd argue with there is it might not be a case of maybe the engines are running as hot as they can get them, but I think there'll always be for Ferrari approved it this year with what they've done with their engine. There'll always be room for how that power is delivered to the wheels, and the drivability of the engine.
I think that's what Cyril Beeble was
Yeah.
saying. We were getting towards the top end of performance, but, given that Ferrari's massive upturn, Renault are clearly the next ones in line to make that upturn in power. and
Unless
then
he's saying that because they've got nowhere to go.
maybe perhaps, but he reckons they can catch them for next season. But Renault are also spending an awful lot of money at the moment, trying to make sure that because they've got like Mercedes, they've got a separate engine power unit development site as they have, the place where the cars are built in Enstone. But they don't want to spend too much or invest too much until they know about what's going to happen with the budget cap in the future, because then he said then it's all about how you've got to spend a certain amount of money, but you've got to make sure that your organisation runs more efficiently.
Yeah.
I said, so we don't want to spend all that money and then find that we can't spend the money we have been spending the last 2 or 3 years. So efficiency's got to come first, and then maybe the investment after they find out what's happening with the budget cap.
You can't.
So their target of podiums, race wins, and championship, podiums being this year,
We now know that's not going to happen.
it's unlikely to happen unless shenanigans, because
Does that
they are
not
the
sound weird.
Well, you got the top 6 cars, haven't you? Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes. They're the top 6
Yeah.
cars, and they pretty much lock out the podium almost every race.
Yeah.
Those three teams, or any combination of those 6 drivers. Renault at the moment, I would say, are the 4th best team, along with Haas at some circuits, and
I think Haas are the 4th best team.
they've got. So there have to be shenanigans in order to get a Haas or a Renault onto the podium.
Yeah, that's it. I think Haas are the 4th best team. Renault aren't too far behind them.
Yeah.
Um,
A wet Singapore might put a Renault on the podium.
maybe.
That's that's the kind of thing that Sauber would lould at as well, isn't
But I
it? Do you
think
know what I mean?
the issue there is you need to do something in a wet Singapore, which we've never had either. Would be in
Beginning of last year's race was wet.
was it wet?
Beginning of it was.
Yeah, but the
It's crashy.
Yes.
Yeah, it was very crashy. But
It was Kimi's fault, apparently. Sorry, Ericsson.
I forgot what I was going to say now.
It was Kimi's fault.
Yeah. Oh fuck, it's gone.
Not getting a Renault on the podium because
Oh yeah, they just don't look like getting a podium.
No, they don't look like
Because
getting one on race
and
pace
sorry,
alone.
the cars don't look. It's not like the Renault's got a Duff engine but a Red Bull chassis.
Yeah,
Do you know
no,
what I mean.
it's-
It's not.
yeah.
There's no. Like rain would be a great engine equalizer, but it's not going to equalize the aero out in your cars.
No. But as I say, rain with concrete walls, anything can
Yeah.
happen. 2 Ferraris, 2 Mercedes could take each other out at the first corner, and then all of a sudden you just got 2 Red Bulls to contend with.
Oh, and then the other one as well. And this is going to be a bit harsh about Hulk and
and
Sainz.
Grosjean will still find a way of fucking things up.
Probably.
But this sounds a bit harsh with Grosjean and Sainz, especially, but like more so with Haas. I don't think either of those teams have got that like hero driver.
Hulkenberg, I think,
He's a good driver. He's not the.
if he
I don't
gets a
think he's the
podium, he'd be a hero.
Yeah, but I don't think he is that guy. I don't
Yeah.
think he's that. It's a wet track.
I still maintain that he can be that guy, and it's Hakkinen all over again. As soon as Hulkenberg gets his first win, he is going to
that's
be
what you
a
do.
completely different driver.
Could be, yeah,
Because-
absolutely.
What I'm saying was, I think Renault have to completely re-look at what they were doing with podiums, wins, and then a championship for 2020. They're probably now thinking, well, all right, well, let's be on the cusp for when the formula changes in 2021.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the idea of them winning the championship before the regulations shake up are ridiculous.
They are now.
Yeah, the next 3 championships are either going to a silver or a red car. We already know this.
Unless Honda are amazing with the main Red Bull team. In which
Recent
case, Danny
history
Ricciardo
suggests
is
not.
Alonso. If that happens, Danny Ricciardo is the new Fernando Alonso.
I fear for Red Bull next year, and I think that anybody that thinks Ricciardo's made a silly move needs to remember that he's got so much more information than that team, and he'll have the information about how that engine is doing real time, days in the Toro Rosso. So if he's left Red Bull, that means he has no faith in that car being there next year.
I think so too.
Personally, I just think he's moved because he doesn't want to get completely number 2 to Verstappen, which is what was going to happen to him anyway.
I don't think it would. Like there was already talks, wasn't there, that he'd been offered like the same money and complete parity with Verstappen because they desperately wanted to keep him.
There comes a point in the season, though, potentially, doesn't there, if Verstappen's so many points ahead that he would end up having to be the Bottas or the Raikkonen.
Yeah,
But the thing is, the way this
But
season's
that- but
going,
that
Ricciardo's
involves-
ahead of Verstappen in the championship.
I was
There
just
is
going to
that.
say that involves him being ahead. I personally, and I might eat my words here, I don't think Max Verstappen will ever be a world champion. I think he's going to win races, and I think he's going to be spectacular now and again, but I don't think he's going to be a world champion.
It's can he keep it together for the whole season?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Consistency,
And
isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's not
How
his
many
thing.
races has Verstappen won this year?
One.
One,
How many
Austria.
races has Ricciardo won this year?
Two.
Yes, exactly. There you go. That says all you need to know, really.
yeah.
When the opportunity is there, Ricciardo takes it. Verstappen often reminds me a little bit sometimes of young Lewis Hamilton. He can do it, but then he doesn't do it.
Yeah. See, I think there's too much put into the exciting Verstappen sort of driving style, because even when you look at like someone like Senna, who you remember as having this sort of like quite like emphatic driving style,
Yeah, I can remember watching
Yeah.
Senna driving and thinking, whoa.
but along with that, he didn't make a massive amount of mistakes.
He made
al-
some.
Yeah, he made some. Everyone makes some. But he also had that sort of what I think Schumacher perfected, which was that like metronomic
Cheating.
lap after but that metronomic lap after lap.
Yeah, that's sort of like superhuman.
So- yeah,
Just, this
yeah.
is my line. I'm taking it.
Yeah.
I know my braking point. And complete confidence in the car.
Yeah. Alonso's I think's got the same thing as well. That's why he's getting good like results in a bad car.
Yeah.
Because whatever his lap delta is supposed to be, he can hit that all the time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. Whereas it used to be lap delta for Senna would be go as fast as you can.
Yeah.
You know, Alonso, if he's told to do a 1:23.2, he hits it.
Yeah.
23.2, 23.2, 23.2.
Verstappen
Lap
seems
after
to
lap.
need the stars to align a little bit, and then not only the stars to align, but then he needs to make sure he gets it home as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the reliability of the engine has been a big problem for,
Oh, it's been
for him
massive,
this season.
absolutely massive. Yeah,
But is it the way that he drives the car?
I don't know.
It's that hard to tell because
Modern Formula One, I find it apart from when when Lewis smashed off the curbs. You know, if you're doing that sort of thing,
Yeah.
apart from that, I find it difficult to believe.
yes, but in the official statement, the hydraulics were already leaking by the time
course they were.
by the time he bounced it over the curbs and all that hydraulic
No.
fluid
After,
fell out.
after he
No.
suplexed his car.
Yeah.
But
It's complete and utter rubbish. Carry on, Lee.
But with everything being controlled by electrical systems, you know, it's drive by wire as well. You know, I find it very hard to believe that a driver can break an engine without like shifting really badly. You know,
Yeah.
without it being painfully obvious and slow.
Yeah. Right. Red Bull, I think, are pushing that power unit harder than Renault say they can. You know, you've always got that sort of like safe pushing limit.
Yeah.
Having, you know, like, oh, this can go up to whatever. You know, when you're a kid and you get toys, you always push it a little bit harder, don't you? Say, oh, this can't stretch. Like Stretch Armstrong will
Yeah.
stretch up to 5 feet. We'll stretch
And
my
then
Stretch
it'll
Armstrong
explode.
further than that.
Well, let's not
And then you
forget.
get Stretch Armstrong to 6 feet, and you think this is amazing. And all of a sudden, he rips in half.
And there's flour everywhere.
Yeah, and then you get murdered by your mum for all the cornflower that is still coming out of the carpet 6 months later.
Yeah, that's it.
Not that I ever did anything like
No.
that with my Stretch Armstrong.
No, but it's the same sort of thing, isn't it? Like Red Bull are pushing that
We also
engine.
might have needed a couple of new door handles.
Red Bull are pushing that just a little bit too
Why
hard.
did you
I
have
think.
Stretch Armstrong when you were 45?
I'm not allowed to drink on this medication that I'm on. I've got to have a hobby.
Everyone's gone quiet.
Get that moment's silence for my liver coming back to life. Drink responsibly. I'll have a double responsibly and Coke.
Anyway,
I've killed that one now,
Say
haven't I?
something then.
I think it's actually good that we're discussing silly season without actually using the sentence. So go on then, which Sauber driver's getting binned at the end of this season then?
Leclerc, but he's moving up.
Yeah. I think
Is
so.
that back now? I thought that was still not happening.
He's not. I don't think he's going to be driving a Ferrari.
Haas.
I still think Ferrari will keep him in the Sauber.
I think he'll go to Haas.
I think Haas is going to be the better car, but Paul might be right. That might be better for him.
There is something that I've read, and I can't remember where I saw this, but Ferrari have the right to name one driver in Sauber, but don't have the automatic right to name a Haas driver.
Yeah, they tried to this year, but Gunter Steiner didn't want it.
Yeah.
They tried to get Giovinazzi. I don't know which one instead of, to be honest, but
Right now, you'd say Grosjean.
you would imagine it was probably
Because
Grosjean.
K-Mag's doing okay.
Yeah,
K-Mag's actually been quoted today in Autosport saying Formula One is fun again after some horrific years.
Because he's doing all right again.
Yeah,
That's what it
that's
is.
showing in his results. But no, I think Leclerc is going to be staying with Sauber. It's good for him because he has pushed the team on. And it's good for the team because it's showing that you put a good driver in the car, we can get Q3s, we can get points after the last few years of absolute hell. Why change that?
8
Because the
top 10 finishes, I think, in the first half of the season.
the team is, they're doing the best that they've done in years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you've got the opportunity to do that again next year,
Best season for Sauber since 2013 when Hulkenberg and Perez together.
No, Hulkenberg replaced Perez.
So Hulkenberg and Sutil.
Might have been
Yeah.
Sutil.
yeah,
might
that
be
sounds, that
Sutil.
sounds about right.
Yeah, because Hulkenberg had a year off, didn't he, from Force India, went to
Yes.
Sauber and then went back.
He seemed like such a horrible man.
Adrian Sutil.
Yeah.
He went to court, didn't he, for punching someone
Glassing
in a German
someone.
nightclub. Was it glassing someone?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Lewis Hamilton was there, and apparently they were friends. And Lewis Hamilton went, "So what happened, mate?" Yeah, Lewis Hamilton testified or gave a testimony,
Yeah.
a written testimony, and Sutil was not friends with Hamilton anymore.
Well, no, I think he wouldn't give a character witness. That's where it was.
Yeah.
So Hamilton was there, and Hamilton wouldn't be
Provide
part
a
of his
character
defense
witness.
because he fucking glassed somebody,
Exactly.
which is really weird.
Yeah,
massive.
Stan, did you see him glass him? Yes. Did he do it? Yes.
Yeah. Anyway,
But that was just my two penneth about what I think is going to happen with Sauber, which I think is nothing. We're going to see the same drivers in there next year. I'm maintaining that until I get proved different.
Do you think? I know we constantly talk about Kimi being shipped out of
I
Ferrari.
thought you were going to say we constantly talk about Alonso, and I wasn't going to
No,
disagree.
no. Do you think? Well, we could lead into him.
No, we're not. No, we won't.
Do you think?
Even if you do, we're not.
Do you think Vettel's under pressure yet?
I think this leads into this next story as well. Lee's all like the segues today, isn't he? I think Vettel's got mental problems.
It's the haircut, isn't it?
Yes. He's been listening.
It's the sign of someone that does it himself because he doesn't trust
It's
barbers.
a sign of someone that doesn't want any points in the Lee Hair game.
No, doesn't want any points
He
in
wants
that.
no part of it.
No, he wants zero part of that. Although you got to say, Lewis Hamilton, that's quite a strong contender for strange hair.
I'm gonna give I give him effort for the fact that he had to go out and buy it.
It's not good, but it's expensive.
Yeah. It can't be comfortable either in that helmet with all that
wouldn't have thought so.
predator braids going down the back of your neck during a race.
Hey, if Carpet World pay you enough.
Yeah, I suppose so. But yeah, the Christian Horner did an interview with a rival podcast.
I don't think we can call it a rival podcast. I think we can
rival
call it
podcast.
the official Formula One podcast.
A rival.
Don't forget, we have to be nice about Formula One as a company because they don't sue us for using the words Formula One podcast in our show when they have their own official Formula One podcast.
Okay, fair enough. rival
fine
podcast.
show.
Anyway, you listened to this interview. I read the article that came out of the podcast, which was done on the same day. Sean, were you saying?
Yes, it was done the Friday afternoon
Of Danny Ricciardo
after
news.
Ricciardo suddenly announced that
And
he
we
was...
now know the main thing that we got from that is we now know what Christian Horner's ringtone is, and it's just ringing. That's really dull. You'd think he'd have something like "Wannabe" or I don't know,
Probably
Mama.
not.
Maybe
no.
maybe he's got a special assigned ringtone for Jerry as a Spice Girl song.
Possibly.
But that was just ringing because it was some random driver's
I can
manager.
hear 3 Legs, 4 Wheels Young Driver programs kicking off somewhere.
Yeah, he's not very well.
Because he's
today.
not. We've not talked about him for the Toro Rosso seat.
No, we haven't.
Too old. Does that mean we have to whisper for the rest of the show?
No, he's awake now.
The damage is done.
Set microphones to a beta bull.
Yeah, everybody just talk quietly for a bit.
Yeah, or sing like nursery rhymes.
Sebastian Vettel did multi-21.
So anyway, yes,
Christian Horner was talking about it. I think the problem is that somebody listening to this podcast right now who's driving, thinking, don't do that. I'm on my way home from a night shift.
So anyway, yeah, Christian Horner was on Beyond the Grid this week, and
Break.
he had quite a few interesting things to say. One of which being Spice Girls cakes helped him out with his career.
Yes, this was an amazing thing. So yeah, at some point in his racing career, he was sponsored by this cake company.
What was it, Susan the Chef or
I
something
can't
like
remember
that?
what it was
Betty
called,
Crocker.
but it wasn't Betty Crocker. It was named after some baking lady, and yeah, they had said they'd be able to increase his sponsorship if their new range of cake did well, and their new range of cake was a Spice Girls cake.
Yep.
So
It was this girl band that we've never heard of.
Yes.
as they said.
so
at
yeah,
the time.
Christian Horner's racing career progressed because a cake with his wife's face on it did well.
He got to F3000.
Yes, I
didn't
think
he?
this was to fund the step up.
So Christian Horner was essentially a GP, what would be now a GP2 driver,
Yeah.
who never made it to Formula One.
Davide Valsecchi. Well, not quite that good.
Still the best thing Martin Brundle said on a grid walk. That.
Yeah. It's a shame you're not around to drive these cars anymore. It's
Yeah.
a shame you weren't fast enough to get to Formula One. Well, no, it was. You shame you're too old to drive these cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Martin responded with that.
But yes, the whole multi-21, Sean.
Okay, yes. So, what was it? Vettel deliberately ignored the multi-21 order because he blamed Webber for causing the spin at the start of the Brazilian Grand Prix the season before, which I have never noticed Webber's involvement in that.
If you
before.
watch the start of the
I've
race,
watched it back now, and I
Yeah.
can kind of see it, but I didn't
he
notice it at the
squishes
time.
him up against the wall, which puts
Yeah.
Vettel into a really difficult position going into turn 1, which is why he's
and
so
then it's
slow.
Senna, I think.
Yeah.
That
It's Bruno Senna
Yeah.
that tapped him at turn
That
4 or
was it.
5
Yeah,
and
yeah.
turned Vettel the other way around.
Yeah.
So Vettel then had to fight his way back up the grid, up the pack to win the championship under a safety car, I believe, right at the end of the race. Under a safety car, he won the world championship, and
That was the year that I thought
that
it
broke Alonso
yeah.
because he was just stood by his car for ages in the rain.
Yeah, he was looking down, looking at Vettel celebrating, obviously thinking, "How am I not world champion now?"
Yeah, exactly. And
so then they get
was
to
it 5 months later, the second race of the season
Yes.
at Malaysia, and it was multi-21, Seb.
And so Vettel ignores that, and by all accounts, fully admitted deliberately the next race when they had their drivers sort of pre-meeting that happened
Yeah, and
because
told
he was
Mark Webber.
pissed off about Brazil.
Yeah, so you did that to me at Brazil, so that's why I overtook you in Malaysia.
Wow.
And then a couple of days after that, Christian Horner had some kind of do with the Queen and Prince Philip, where he had to explain what had happened to the Queen.
Well, he got an OBE, didn't he? I
He
wonder if it
did.
was then.
I
No,
think
no,
I
it was-
think
it
he
was at a
said it
garden
was.
party.
Yeah,
Oh, was
he
it?
was at this do, and then a couple of months later, he found out he was getting the OBE. So it's probably an audition.
Which,
Yeah,
which he
probably.
described as like going out for tea with your grandparents, but a lot more formal.
Tell me, Mr. Horner, what is multi-21?
Well, so I said this before, but I didn't say while we're recording. We do know that the Queen does take an interest in whoever she is meeting and sort of learns about what their job is and what they do. Because a friend of mine that worked at the time on the web team for the BBC, he was covering the official royal family website launching, and had a 10-minute conversation with the Queen about data transfer rates and packet switching
So good,
because she'd read up on it.
good researching.
He did say it was
Royal
one of the most
Highness.
surreal experiences of his life, which I can understand that.
Well, lizards are good at remembering stuff, aren't they?
Yes, Lizzie is good at remembering stuff.
Yes, very good. So yeah, so it turns out that Multi-20, when was that, 2013? Was it really that 5 years ago?
I think it
Sounds
was.
about right.
Malaysia 2013, yeah, because it was a Brazil incident, it was 2012.
Yeah.
Because I wanted Alonso to win the title that year, and the person I was with at the time wanted Vettel to win it. And when I saw Vettel backwards, I did a little I did a little dance around the room, admittedly, because I wanted Alonso to be champion
I
that
was
year.
I was really happy. I wanted Alonso to win that
Yeah.
championship.
I think
as well.
Webber did as well, and that's
Yeah,
That was, of course, in the olden days before we watched races surrounded by TVs, laptops,
Yeah.
apps,
Yeah.
Well, Webber did.
and lots of biscuits.
Have to be a bit more impartial now as well because of you know we broadcast this to many people.
Webber did for years have a proper man crush on Alonso, didn't he?
I think they're still quite pally,
Picked
aren't
him up,
they?
didn't he?
Yeah.
At Singapore when he broke down.
Yeah.
They do a lot of the cycling and shit like that, I think, don't they?
So by the time you listen to
Proper
this,
power couple that though, isn't it?
Accidentally fallen over together in hay bales, and we're here again.
If I
are,
think-
are they a power couple or are they a chassis couple? It all
Power
depends on
couple.
what country they're in at the
Did
time.
Webber not send his dad to the Indy 500
Yes, he
last
did.
year as
Yeah,
well
to
because
watch
he
Fernando.
couldn't go because he was at TT?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Webber sent his dad to watch Fernando Alonso in the Indy 500. But imagine that though, like they both came out holding hands. That's an action.
I think you're
man
venturing
Right.
into some kind of weird fan fiction.
No, no, no.
here.
No,
Right,
that's such a that would be like the action man couple right there, wouldn't it? Two chiseled looking Formula One stars, like one a double world champion, one maybe should have been world champion, and that's like the sports. We were talking a few weeks ago about the no gay representation in motorsport. That would be brilliant. Alonso, it's going to happen, isn't it? It's Alonso and Webber.
I've just had an idea for how, because Mark Webber is a regular visitor to the TT just about every year.
Yes.
I've worked out how we can track him down next year. We'll all turn up in the paddock.
Hire Fernando Alonso.
I was just going to say it's going to be cheaper than that. Actually, slightly cheaper than that. We'll all turn up in the paddock wearing Kimoa hats.
There were all those face masks for his birthday, weren't there? All
Yeah.
the Alonso face
all,
masks.
all we
Find
need,
one of them.
Yeah. 4 or 5 Alonso face masks and a Kimoa hat each.
But you know roughly where that house is, don't you? Where he goes
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
watch the...
three doors down from where we used to go to watch, but they've now sold it.
Right, so go and stick in the garden opposite. Fernando Alonso's at this address, and he'll just straight away be like, just get a taxi to that address, and then he'll be here. That's all
I've
we need.
just got this horrific sort of Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote vision going through my head. Sort of, you know, you got massive weight suspended over a pile of Kimoa hats and an Aussie pecking at the hats. mate.
I think, has Webber not just launched his own
mate.
clothes brand, though? So he's probably got his own hats. He's like a running clothing range or
I
something.
see
like that.
Kimoa as a surfing
Oh,
clothes.
so they can interchange
Surf
then.
clothes.
You can go running in your Webber gear and then you can chill
Surfing in
in your
Kimoa.
Kimoa.
They're not going to stand on each other's sprouts like that.
No. Unless one of them
separate.
asks for it.
I think
Let's
we are.
move on.
I think we are going to move on. And the thing that it says next on here is total shunts.
Excellent.
I'll move my microphone into the more relaxed position of the rest of the podcast.
I'm also going to move mine slightly because I'm kind of angled a bit.
Sorry, I've hit Paul's mic stand a couple of times in this podcast, so I'm really sorry if you had a couple of...
For what it's
deafening-
worth, Christian
I'm not-
Horner clattered his microphone all the way through that interview. There was
Really?
all the way through that.
And I'm going to have to mix that out.
No, you're not. Leave it in for comedy value.
You're an arse, you know that. No, actually, you're a tit.
Ah, yes, I am. Know that.
It's on Reddit. It's official.
And anything on Reddit and 4chan is clearly to be taken home to the bank.
Yeah.
Sit down with your Kool-Aid and read it.
I was born.
Who's it from?
I'll tell you in a bit. No,
It's a
it's
secret.
from Aaron Bradley.
Aaron Bradley, we have heard from Aaron before.
A. Ron.
Yeah. I was born
Correct
in
way to start.
1950.
Okay.
Older than me.
The Formula One World Championship started in 1950.
It's not really born, though, that, is it? It just kind of establishes.
Yeah, but it was a car that was born last week that we got right, and even Rod Kay tweeted to say that we got it right. As I said, when the guy who sends the questions in says congratulations for getting it right.
No, last time I checked, it wasn't called Who's a Robert K. My first F1 race was in 1972.
So not the Formula One World Championship.
And probably not a car.
Somebody who's 22 in 1972.
And is
And
68 now.
currently.
68 this year.
Yeah.
Would that be about the right kind of age for Niki Lauda?
Yeah?
Yeah, it could be.
I won the Sports Car Club American LM Championship in 1973.
Probably not Niki
No.
Lauda, because I don't think he did American sports cars. Could we
Like
be
a
looking
guess.
at... how about Mario Andretti?
Yeah, that's a good
Could
guess.
be,
Mario Andretti. He was champion in 78, wasn't he, Andretti?
Hmm.
So he would have been about 28 at the time. So
Sounds plausible.
Yeah, it does sound plausible. Mario Andretti.
Go for
the
that
first guess.
Go for that for the first one.
I won my first F1 my first F1 win came at the 1974 Swedish Grand Prix. Easy for me to say.
Was Andretti in Formula One for that long before he was champion?
I don't think he was. I think he started in 76.
It's all right. I just learned something was a thing that I had no idea was a thing. Carry on.
Swedish
Looking
Grand
forward
Prix.
to that clue.
No, the next clue.
Which I think we need now.
In 1983, I was inducted into the International Jewish Sports Hall of Fame.
Excellent.
Jewish
Jewish.
Sports Hall of
Yes.
Fame.
Right.
Jewish Sports Hall of Fame?
Apparently.
Or Jewish Sports Hall of Fame? Is Mario Andretti Jewish?
He's Italian. He's going to be Catholic.
You would assume
I would
Catholic.
assume so.
Big
He was-
family, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was actually born in Italy, Mario Andretti, I believe. It's probably not Jewish then.
Number 6.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
go on then.
I've driven for 4 different Formula One teams. I'd also like a guess.
We're obviously looking for somebody with either a North or South American background because of the US
Presumably
sports car
so,
thing.
yes.
There aren't many South American countries that practice Judaism
Yeah.
as a rule. You're probably looking at somebody with a European or, further afield background.
Yeah, it's a tough one. How old's Emerson Fittipaldi?
I think he's a little bit older.
Yeah, I think he's probably into his 70s now, Fittipaldi. Bear in mind, he was racing professionally racing still in the 90s.
Oh, he was still in IndyCar in the 90s.
Yeah, he was fighting Mansell for the 93 IndyCar Championship.
Yeah.
And he was, 72 world champion in Formula One? So...
God, I ain't got a great deal.
Like Jody Scheckter.
South African, but again, the age is probably right.
The era's about right as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Scheckter was 79 world champion. I'm just choosing world champions.
Yeah, should we go with Jody Scheckter?
Yeah, why
Jody
not?
Scheckter for the
I don't
second
know if
guess.
he's Jewish, but I'm not well up on racist
I've got to
religions.
say, racist religious backgrounds have never sort of really entered.
It's not the helmet you're looking at, is it really?
Careful now.
That was a deliberate... When you talk about helmet design, when you talk about helmet design,
I've just came up with one of the lines in my Star Wars porn parody. This is not the helmet you're looking for.
This one is Sheev.
oh God, moving swiftly on. I need the
Continue.
tablets to be able to edit this.
I am one of only 2 drivers to have raced under the number 0.
Damon Hill being one of them.
Twice.
If
Well,
you
for
can't
2
be-
seasons.
I was going to say, yeah. You can't be the same person twice.
I don't know. Some of it is whacked out. Lee's whacked out conspiracy
All right,
theories.
okay. So we're looking for.
Oh, hang on. It's Avril Lavigne. She's been the same person twice. If you believe the conspiracy rumours that she's dead.
Yeah.
Both of them are fit.
Anyway, so we're looking for a Formula One champion who retired the following year, who retired without, or was dead.
Jochen Rindt
Was
died.
1970 world champion, wasn't
Yeah.
he?
Yes.
So wouldn't.
So that was too early. So
yes,
so
that's
maybe
true.
they just didn't have a number 0 because I don't know what. Well, that wasn't in the days of the team numbers though, was it? The team numbers came in the late 70s, didn't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah.
So we're looking at somebody who won the world championship in the 70s and then wasn't in the sport the following year. So let's work through 1970s world champions, which I've already been doing this total
Okay,
shunt.
so we've
Jochen
already touched
Rindt,
on-
not Jochen Rindt.
yeah.
Jackie Stewart retired in 73 as
Okay.
world champion, driving a Tyrrell. Who was driving for Tyrrell in 74? Was it 73 he retired?
Yeah, because it was when Francois Sievert died.
Yeah, Stewart won the
Last
championship.
driver to race in leather gloves.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sean.
And was it last?
Oh, and congratulations, as we didn't say last week, to
Mr. and
Mr.
Mrs.
and
Virtual
Mrs.
Stat.
Stats.
Yes. Virtual Stat Man got married, everyone.
Oh yeah, congratulations. I must remind you, you've got another 3 questions for you.
Hang on.
Yeah, this-
no,
this
no,
is
no,
We're
no.
brainstorming.
So it's 97. I'm going for whoever was driving Tyrrell in 74.
Let's speed this up. The new World of Warcraft expansion goes live in 45 minutes, and I'd like to be on there at the start.
It will be there for a long time,
It
Paul.
will be there for a long time. I'll be probably full of bugs first anyway. You need to-
It'll be full of over-enthusiastic people who are like, I
12-year-olds.
must do it first.
In 1976, I came 3rd in the F1 Drivers' Championship while driving the 6-wheeled Tyrrell P34. Remember the quiz you didn't get?
It's back. It's haunting
The quiz that
us.
we didn't get that we actually got.
1976.
Was that the Hunt year?
That was the year that Hunt won the championship.
From Lauder.
So who was 3rd? Was it Jody Scheckter in a Tyrrell?
I'm trying to remember last week's questions about who drove the P34. Sorry, the 6
Two-
wheel Tyrrell.
Yeah.
Not the 2 wheel Tyrrell. That was one of the earlier answers.
Yeah. A famous Tyrrell motorcycle.
Ronnie Peterson was one of them.
Was he?
Yeah. And aside from that, could really do with
Ronnie
that.
Peterson. That's a Jewish name. We'll go with that. Peterson. It's a Jewish
Yeah.
name.
Made his debut at the Swedish Grand Prix. Was Swedish.
He's a Swede, yeah.
Well, no, he said his one is.
You still got another 2 questions anyway before
Let's.
you have to one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so right this minute we could do with hitting pause and either listening back to last week's podcast or watching
We're
Rush.
doing neither. We're continuing.
No.
Hello, Lee.
I was just trying to find the question.
Earthly.
There has not been another driver from my country in Formula One since my retirement in 1980.
So rules out Ronnie Peterson.
Are we back to Scheckter?
Yeah, South African
Yeah.
driver.
Yeah, I can't think of any other South African drivers.
I want to say Jody Scheckter at the moment.
Yeah.
I was the 1979 Formula One World Drivers Champion.
So that'd be Jody Scheckter then.
There we
Are you
There we
Jody
go.
Scheckter?
Definitely.
Yes. That was a good one.
That was a good one. Thank you very much,
Got us
AA
on the
Ron.
train. I had no idea that he was Jody Scheckter was Jewish either. But then again, like religions of drivers.
I don't really think
It
it.
doesn't come
Apart
up
from
very
Hamilton
often.
with his, still I rise, thanks to God, I've got a massive cross on my back.
Evangelical Christian and apparently
Well, Senna as well. Senna was quite into his Christianity.
That's the whole Brazilian thing, isn't it? 'Cause, Brazil is a very devout Catholic country, and
Yeah.
Brazilians are very devout Catholics. But yeah, Lewis.
Quite often did the cross on when he was on the podium, didn't
Yeah.
he, Senna? So
Lewis, of course, takes inspirational sermons by his favourite preacher with him to listen to before races.
oh right, okay, didn't even know that.
Yeah. That was in the official F1 podcast as well from his episode, which was episode 1, which kind of blew all of the Formula 1 podcasts out of the water, listening figures wise. For some reason, I don't know why. Plenty of good independent content out there, and us.
Moving on.
Somebody has to say that. Right, Formula Lee.
Are we still doing one, or is it finished now?
This is the end of the extra race for summer, which was Canada in the 2008 McLaren in the Dry. What did we have? We had quite a few entries. Just want to point out that if you send a time in on PlayStation in a private message, chances are I won't see it until 2 weeks later. Just send a photo.
Yeah.
Right. Top 20. You needed to get 115.706 to get into the top 20, and the following people did. 20th was Wellington Moreau. 19th, Suan Wong. Sorry, I was waiting for the usual joke.
No usual joke.
No
Move
usual
on.
joke from Leo, move on. 18th was Joseph Heilman. 17th, Nick Richardson. 16th, Adam Smith. 15th, Patrick Daly. 14th, Mike Chacamping. 13th, Ollie Vestley. 12th, Ken Louderback. 11th, Pete Bull. You're slipping, Pete. You're normally top 5. Top
Got a
10.
top 10. It maybe it's gearing up for the new release of the new game, which is a few weeks away now, isn't it?
Yeah, because we'll be doing the new one in either 1 or 2 races time.
Yeah. 2 races, I would say.
Which we will discuss.
Get people a chance to get it.
Yeah. Top 10. 10th place, Alberto Roldan. 9th, Nicholas Carline. 8th, he was as high as 2nd at one point, but Bradley Chambers.
Oh, good effort, Bradley.
He was on holiday,
Oh, okay.
but he's now 8th. 7th, Carl Jarazek. 6th, Max Williams. 5th, Alessandro Popolani. 4th, Travis Parker. Top 3. 3rd, with a time of 1:13.478, was Ayrton Antonucci.
Good name.
2nd, with 1:13.355 and an undrivable setup, Chris Olby, because I tried his setup.
And it was undrivable.
Binned it on the first corner.
Okay.
Lastly, didn't get as far as the first corner. I binned it on the chicane.
Lap on tin one.
No, it was lap 0.
Turn 14.
Lap 0, turn -1. I didn't get as far as the start line facing forwards. And winning again, back on form with 112.972, destroying everybody again, Will Coates.
Back on form, Will Coates.
Definitely.
Good effort, well done. Nice to see
Definitely.
Formula Lee Winter Series winner Travis Parker there in 4th as well.
Technically, winter draw winner.
Winter draw winner,
Winter
I suppose,
draw
yeah.
winner. I don't
Yeah,
have
not Winter Series winner.
Not Winter
yeah.
Series winner. I don't
Helmet winner.
Yes. The helmet you do look out for.
Yes.
So, we need something for Belgium.
We're not going with the new game for Belgium.
Because it's not out yet.
Oh, is it not? I don't know
No,
when
it
it's
comes
It's
out
literally
after
out
Belgium.
2 days
Is it out?
Is it 2 days before, I think?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
comes out 2
right.
days before the race. So,
Give people a chance to get the game.
Yeah.
and as far as things go for Italy, we'll take a view closer to the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, well, realistically, we're better off if we're going to do it is telling people we're going to do it because that gives them a chance to go and get it.
I think
Well, yeah.
Singapore should be the first, because Singapore was the first one that we did.
Was it?
So Singapore should be the first one of the new
No,
game.
it's, possibly Italy was the first one that we did.
I think Italy was the
yeah,
first
but
one.
it just depends on the release date. We'll discuss this over the next week, and we'll make a decision
Soundies.
on next week's podcast.
So we've got Belgium. Always rains in Belgium, doesn't it?
Yes.
So rain, and we'll do it. We had Fernando's Renault. We've had Fernando's Renault, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
We haven't had Senna's McLaren. In it?
Which some versions of the game don't have.
Oh.
Let's just do it in a current car.
Yeah, could do. Right, yeah, do it in a Haas.
Okay, so Belgium in the wet in a Haas.
Yeah.
2-week challenge. You have until...
Don't make a hass of it.
Well, hey. You have until Monday the 27th, which is the day after the Belgian Grand Prix. Also a bank holiday.
I was going to say it should be a bank holiday because
Yeah.
the day after Belgian Grand Prix is always a bank holiday, apart from the years when it's not.
It is every time that it isn't. So could be potential for a barbecue after the live race blog.
Maybe.
We shall give that some thought. So you have until 7 o'clock UK, 2 o'clock Eastern on the Monday the 27th of August to get those in. Usual way of doing it, you can send it in an email, 3legs4wheels@gmail.com. You can send it in a private message on Twitter at 3legs4wheels, or you can go onto the Facebook page, facebook.com/3legs4wheels, send it in a direct message on that, or you can add me on PlayStation Pabstar, and I'll get to see the time on the Friends leaderboard.
You can indeed.
Yes, and if you want to get in touch with us any other ways, you can use those methods, or you can tweet us individually at
Flood21.
At Sean Cowper.
At a total shunt.
and at Pablo100, and Dan is at Dan Dankleton.
And don't forget, at 3 Legs 4 Wheels is our main Twitter account as well.
Yes, even though it's still me that reads all those.
Yes.
So send it to me. Slag anyone off you want. Just like to get the usual plug.
Especially Paul.
Hey, they do that anyway. I've had to pretend to be you sometimes and big myself up.
Well, everyone knows it's not me then, don't they? What a terrible cover.
Hi, I'm Lee. I really like Paul. This is clearly not Lee.
But then that's the ruse. They'll think it's Lee taking the piss.
I don't think they will.
Double bluff. I learnt this from Dan. He might actually be on holiday.
How good are those drugs that you're on?
Wow. Let's put it this way. They are better than the condition that they are treating me for.
Is Dan's mission almost complete?
Dan's mission is almost complete. We'll be seeing him at the drop-off point on Saturday.
Yes.
And just to say, James Penny, if you're listening to this, we are coming for a coffee at your coffee place in Winchester, because he sent us a message saying, if you're in Winchester this weekend, I sell coffee for a living. Pop in.
Yeah,
There will
why
need
not?
to be
So
coffee.
we are going to
Take pictures.
We will take pictures. If any of us are anywhere that you are, let us know and we'll pop in for a coffee or a pint if
Assuming
you
that
work
they
in a
sell
pub.
coffee. Not everyone sells coffee,
Yeah,
so
yeah. If they don't, it makes it more
we
awkward.
can't just turn up at random people's houses and go, I need a
I've come
coffee.
for a coffee.
3 Legs, 4 Wheels coffee tour. I reckon. I think I need to lie down, don't I?
You do need to lie down. We can't
I am
even make
first-
it to a race.
I'm firstly going to thank everyone who's donated through Patreon,
Thank you very much.
because we really appreciate your support. We do the extra show every week. More rewards to follow. If you want to find out more about that, it costs as little as $1 a month, because they don't take payments in any other currency.
But you can pay a lot more than that.
But you can pay whatever amount you want, from $1 a month upwards. There's an extra show that we do, not about Formula One, just about anything that we can be asked talking about.
Try not
really.
to do Formula One on
Yeah.
it anyway.
And if you go to patreon.com/3legs4wheels, have a look there, and the show's linked on the website as well.
Yep.
We will be back next week. We'll be previewing the Belgian Grand Prix.
And who knows, we might even have some news, or have had some news at the beginning of the podcast.
I was going to say there might have been something extra.
I think most
Dropped
most teams this week are coming to the end of the 2-week shutdown, aren't they? So they might actually start doing some stuff.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, we'll
some
know
work.
about upgrades, won't we, coming to certain
Yes.
races. Who's going to bring it for Belgium? Who's going to bring it to Italy? Who's going to wait until the flyaways?
Yeah. And hopefully we'll have Craig Scarborough coming back on soon to discuss these very upgrades.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Always enjoy getting Scarbs on the show.
So we will be sorting that out. But in the meantime, we'll be back next week.
Yes, we will.
We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Arrivederci.